Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to your Moonday Magic with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Raphael. I am an astrologer, tarot reader, numerologist, and energy worker. Those are my core four. That is my bag. That is how I bring you all of the messages that I bring you. So, with that said, please be sure to check out the channel if you are new here. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you are ever wondering as well, in terms of my calculations, I use whole sign tropical Western astrology for those of you that would like to know. And for those of you that are my ride or dies, or the radiant riders, as I like to call them, or the Radiant Nation as a collective. Thank you so much for being here. You know, I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. Just a little bit of housekeeping. So, with that said, obviously, we are here to talk about Moonday Magic. So, Monday is the day that belongs to the moon, hence the name Moonday Magic. This is the day of our celestial mother, Luna. So, if you've been with me long enough, you already know I have a complete love affair with the moon. I really do. I just always have since I was little. And so I love moon days, right? So you'll have to forgive the background. At the moment, the office is everything is everywhere because I'm knee deep in the 2025 content that I'm creating for you guys that I create every year. Usually I'm done by now, but this year there's been a lot going on sort of outside of the channel and outside of work and stuff. So I really do apologize that there hasn't been any weeklies. For those of you that are my dear members, I do so love and appreciate you, and I want to say thank you so much for being a Radiant Rider. So, for those of you that are signed up to the YouTube membership, that pay to get your weekly tarot readings, I'm really very grateful for that. And I seriously do apologize that I haven't been able to get them out. But as I say, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that I'm working on to bring you other types of content as well. So, thank you so much for your patience. I've had a few messages from people that are disgruntled about, not having their weeklies, and I completely understand if you choose to unsubscribe or, get rid of your membership. It's the only week this will happen, I can assure you. It's just as I say, I've been working on other content, not just for the channel, but also for the members. There's going to be members only 2025 content. There's going to be the sign readings that I do every year, and there's also going to be the life path readings that I do every year. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of components that go into that. It's just a lot of doing, right? So, and unfortunately, or fortunately for the world, there is only one of me. So, I'm doing my absolute best, and I just want to say thank you for your patience. I really do appreciate it. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world watching this at this moment in time. Radiant Angel Energy, hello, hello, hello. Amanda B, Paul Gretzenmaker, good morning, brother. Hello, hello, hello. Jan, hi, lovely to have you. Laurel Berg, my Aquarius sister, thank you so much for being here. So, with that said, obviously, we are here to talk about Fair Luna, our celestial mama. So, I'm going to pull up the chart. Just let me know if you can see that. And I will get started on that. Oh. Let me do this. Yeah, I thought I'd bring you something different today because otherwise you'd just be staring at the absolute chaos behind me. So I thought I would spare you all the mess and everything. Like at the moment, I feel like squished in. Like there's room for everything else except me in the office at this moment in time. And funnily enough, I'm the thing that takes up the most space. So, but yeah, it's lovely. It's my little space to spend time with you guys on a daily and do what I love. So, can you guys see the chart, or are you just looking? Let's get rid of that. We don't need that. Hmm. Oh, I think they might have disappeared. Oh, okay, so let's do that. And let's do this. Are you seeing the chart? Yes, okay. Right, so just stopped sharing and then popped it back on. All right, so we can see the chart. We start today. So remember, we're looking at this as kind of like a flat chart. I don't, unless you're in the UK, you don't pay attention to the houses. And even if you are in the UK, we're not doing it in terms of that. So it's just kind of like see this as a flat chart of what's going on in the sky at this moment in time. So we start the day with Luna, here she is, sandwiched between Saturn and Neptune. So this is what's known as a malefic enclosure. However, in some systems, the moon herself is considered to be a malefic. So, the jury's still out on that one. Personally, I love Luna way too much to call her a malefic influence. I'm biased, but it is what it is. So, moon passing through that conjunction with Saturn, it might have been a bit more of a serious start to the day for us. Maybe a bit more like, okay, I need to get my proverbial together and make some headway with what I'm doing. Now, as she applies to that conjunction with Neptune, this will really see us all in the fields. Now, if you've seen the Moonday Magic post that I put out today, good morning, James McDonald. Lovely to have you, brother. One of the things that I talked about here in the Moonday Magic. So, I do the tarot post every Monday morning. One of the things that I talked about was the need to find an emotional anchor today, right? We're going to be looking for an earthy one. And apart from Pluto at the tail end of Capricorn and Uranus retrograde at the tail end of Taurus, there's not really a lot of earth that can give us the grounding that we're looking for, especially on a day like today. And truth be told, we're not meant to find it in the earth or in the tangible at this moment in time. That will come when we come to the full moon in Taurus. In the here and now, as we start the week, this is about finding an emotional anchor. And the emotional anchor that we're using is the sun, right? The sun is the ruler of the sign Leo, which is about your self-sovereignty, about your confidence, about how you are a mentor or at least a guiding light for others. And it's in the sign of Scorpio, right? The sign of secrets, the sign of rebirth and regeneration. This is really getting us to plumb our depths so that we can understand at a deeper level not only what we're here for, but that trine between the sun and the moon. This is our needs and our desires, our wants versus our needs. It was not a versus. It's an and, right? What we desire on a soul level and what we need on a practical level are coming into a harmonious conjunction, or they certainly are as we're talking now. And so, as this Luna passes through this trine to the sun and comes into that conjunction with Neptune, it's, yeah, really the anchor that you're looking for is the sun in Scorpio. This is providing that kind of stick-to-itiveness, as they say, right? It's giving us an emotional anchor of some sort that I actually think is quite important at the moment. So, that being said, as we come into Tuesday, Luna will come into the sign of Aries. I love an Aries moon. I personally love an Aries moon. It always plays very nicely with my chart. It really, I enjoy the moon in Aries because it's very active. It's kind of like a let's do it, right? Let's do what we need to do. Let's get done what we need to get done. And it's coming into it will move through a conjunction to the North Node, right? Which is an amplification point. The North Node is a voracious hunger in the soul, pushing or driving us forward in some way, shape, or form. So we couple that with the moon. Tomorrow really is a day for action. It's a day to do something with your energy. It's a day to really use your tangible energies. It will pass through that trine to Mars, which will be its ruler, which is in a fellow fire sign. There's a lot of good fire in tomorrow, right? So use it, do something with the energy so that it doesn't do something with you. The Taurus Garden, hello, lovely, good to have you. Jan Wallace says, my moon is in Aries. I love it, I love it, I love it. Yeah, use this, right? Luna in Aries it's an active principle. It's where we get action, energy, passion, excitation, and we're driving things forward. And as it passes through that conjunction to the North Node, we're feeling like we need to get something done, right? So if you've got deadlines looming, tomorrow's a day where you could really make some good headway towards that. Now, as we come into Wednesday, Luna's then going to align with, so she'll pass through the trine to Mercury. Moon and Mercury are really good friends, right? So when you think about it like this, it's said that, so Gemini is the third sign of the zodiac, right? Who rules Gemini? Mercury. Now, the third house in the space is daily sort of activity. It's a very busy house. It's using our hands, it's communication, it's our local environment, you know, going here, there, and everywhere, connecting to people, interacting with our local surroundings, and all the rest of it. The moon does not like to be lonely. This is why when we have a void of course moon, if you know anything about electional astrology, or even if you don't and you only know a little bit about astrology in general, the void of the moon is the worst time to do something, because whatever you do or initiate or start or put out into the world, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't work, right? Why? Because the moon, the ruler of people, the ruler of, you know, our bodies and our minds and connection, isn't doing anything. Now, everything that's considered in the sub-lunar realm needs that connection to do something. Even if it's a harsh connection, it's still a connection, right? So when the moon comes into a connection, as because it's at 18 as we come into Wednesday, but it will pass through the trine to Mercury. So the moon is said to be exalted in the third house. Mercury's house, the natural space of Mercury, is where the moon is said to be exalted by house placement, not sign. By sign, Luna exalts in Taurus. So for those of you that are a Pisces rising, you're the lucky ones, because then when the moon passes through the sign of Taurus, she's in double dignity, right? She's got extra power. She's in the sign of her exaltation. She's like, oh, look at me, honey. I got my best garbs on. I got my goblet full of mead. Right, this is a Luna that's dressed to the nines and looking to slay. I jest. But remember, the moon's primary concern is to ensure that we are well fed, that we're well nurtured, that we're well nourished. So when, for those of you that are Pisces rising, that means you've got Taurus in the third house. Not only does she exalt in the sign of Taurus, but she also exalts in the third house. So if you are a Pisces rising, when moon comes through that third house every month, you are in your element, right? Because this is good energy that you can use. It's powerful energy that you can use. So there's a little sojourn for you, a little mini astro lesson. Now, with the moon coming into a conjunction to Chiron, this may see our stuff, our personal wounds, maybe even our ability to acknowledge what is a personal wound, maybe comes to the surface a little bit more. Now, what I like about this is because the trine to Mercury has taken place, we're able to talk about it in a way that sees us say, you know what, I'm going to do something about this. You're not just moaning for the sake of moaning, but you're actually deciding to say, okay, I've talked about it, I've yapped on about it, but now I'm actually going to do something about it. And because it's coming into the sextile to Jupiter, it provides us with the impetus or the opportunity to actually then do something about it. So, and maybe with that Jupiter, a person that can help you with this in some way, shape, or form, or at least point you in the right direction. Jupiter in Gemini, in Mercury's sign, right? You know what? I can't help you with this, but I know somebody that can. And more importantly, this is the information that you need to do the thing that you're trying to do. Okay, so love that. Remember though, lunar transits are fleeting, right? It takes like 2+ days and the moon's already in a different sign. So you got to use them while they're hot. That being said, this is a lot of conversation. And it's kind of like, you know, that song by Elvis, a little less conversation, a little more action, please. That's really what this says, right? Once you've got a clear idea, say what you're saying, but then get on with it immediately. As we come into Thursday, Luna comes into the sign of her exaltation. Hi, Asleep by Nine. Hi, Heidi R. Lovely to have you guys. Hey, Sam M. Hey, Liliana. Lovely to have you, sweetie. Alison Cole. Lovely to have you. I love seeing you guys here. It's like a daily regular of all of my gorgeous people. Hi, Ray. Hi, Nikki Lana. Shay Shay. Hey, good to have you. Lovely to see you. Anyway, back to it. So Thursday, Luna comes into the sign of her exaltation. Little known fact, or maybe big known fact, I don't know. um, when the moon is at 3 degrees of Taurus, she's at what's considered her most exalted, right? So each planet or each planet slash luminary will love to be in a certain sign more than any other, and it will have a favorite degree of the zodiac. The moon's favorite degree of the zodiac, Aquarius Diva, lovely to have you. The moon's favorite degree of the zodiac is 3 degrees of Taurus. This is like her, you know, this is the most lunar that you can get. What I love about this is look, right? Look at this. Bam. She's in a direct trine to that Venus. It's a fleeting moment, right? There's not a lot, you're going to have to act quickly on this because it's the moon. She moves so quickly. Laurel Berg, Bonnie Pierce, hey! These are some much treasured members slash clients of mine. Lovely to have you, ladies. Thank you so much for being here. Rachel England says, love me some Raf for the morning commute. And I love you too. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. So this, look at this. Venus at 3 degrees of Capricorn, Moon at 3 degrees of Taurus. I just love, love, love this. And, you know, the odds of this happening like this, with Venus at 3 degrees of a fellow Earth sign, Venus, the current ruler of that moon, at the moon at her most favorite degree, it's, you know, it doesn't happen very often, is what I'm trying to say, right? So even with the square to the Mars in Leo, I really feel like tomorrow is a day, not tomorrow, I really feel like Thursday is a moment to use, even if that's just that you put some kind of petition out to the universe. This is something that I talked about at length in the Lacuna. We've also got a couple of experiments going on, which I'm really excited to see those unfold. They're going to be long-term experiments, but it's I can't wait to see how it goes. Anyway, Thursday, love this. Don't stress about the full moon, lovely. Get active. If you're ever stressing about a transit or a card prediction, Radiant Reality is probably not the best channel for you. I'm just going to say that because you guys know me. I don't shy away from the hard stuff. I tend to steer right towards it and go through the heart of it because for me personally, that's where the magic is, and it's how true change actually takes place in our lives. When we shy away from what's difficult or we sweep it under the rug, that's when we really get problems. And it's usually not at the moment that you sweep it under the rug. It will be at a time where your life is going great, everything's good for you, and then that thing that you buried, that you swept under the rug, or that you tried to ignore or pretend didn't exist, will come up and it will destroy the things that you love. It will destroy the things that you've worked bloody hard to build. And so for me personally, I don't shy away from this stuff. I understand the stress. It happens for me too, but I try to be a more active participant in my life and the experiences that I have, right? And this is why I say, like, it's not to be mean or to be rude or to be disrespectful. I often will say in my videos, I'm about to say something that could be difficult. If you worry or you stress over certain things, now is the time to switch off, right? Because I will talk about those difficult things, and it's never to upset people. It's actually to empower you. And maybe this is because I'm biased. This is my own approach to things, and it's what I try to empower into other people. I often say, you get nothing from glossing over it, right? I'm the sort of person where if you said to me, Raf, I'm going to put you through more pain than you are ever going to be able to experience. But when you come out of it, you're going to be a brand new man and it's going to be great, right? I will say, you know what? Fine, have at it. If you're going to wreck me, just do it, right? So we can get it over and done with. Once I know that, like when I make predictions and I say, right, this is going to be hard, even when I've made predictions of people passing in my own life, I take that and I say to myself, okay, I could be wrong. That's one part of it. But equally, I could be right. And if I am, this is going to hurt. Let me start to process this now so that when it hits, it doesn't blindside me. All right. So I never ever say anything to shock or to upset people. It's always with the intention of empowering you because knowledge is power. So if I know that something's coming up, I can find a way through it. Rafi ran over. As we come into Friday, let me move this forward by some hours and I'll show you why Sam M and Ray are feeling a little bit apprehensive about this full moon. So the full moon takes place with Luna at 23 degrees of Taurus, basically conjunct. It's 2 degrees away, so it's a conjunction to Uranus. Uranus is a big boy planet. It is retrograde at the time. It's also a very disruptive planet. Now, Uranus is already somewhat compromised because it's in this. Taurus is the epitome of Earth, strong, fixed, stands to its degree, stands to its moral, its ground, right? It's the fixed Earth. We're talking about a mountain. You don't move a mountain, you have to blast that thing open. Well, Uranus is the great blaster of the zodiac. So, what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? This is why, Sam, I completely understand what you're saying. She says natal moon is at 20 of Taurus, Chiron is at 23. That moon is going to be highlighting a very deep personal wound for Sam, and it could be really, really tender. Why do I say this? The time of the full moon is already a time of very heightened emotion. It's where we really feel something at a very powerful depth. It's where we really feel like, oh, you know what? Like all of our emotions are heightened. Little known fact. So I remember. So here's one for you. Hopefully, I'll make you laugh and hopefully, I'll give you some insight. Sorry, a little bit dry-lipped. Um, So when I used to work at the bar, this was years ago, right? Big gay Raf comes in, bounding about, loves astrology and all the rest of it, is into all of that weird stuff. And I remember when I first started working there, I overheard one of the bouncers say to the other one, like, "Oh, it's a full moon tonight." And I was like, who said what? Yeah, full moon. I'm there. Listen. Right. Bouncers, people that work in the emergency room, police officers, anybody that works in a public facing arena that could potentially at times get volatile, they all pay attention to the fact that we have a full moon. Why? Because they know that people have a tendency to get that much more emotional, to get that much more erratic. Um, I love that you've been following me for years, Sam. And when I talk about not being able to handle it, I'm talking about a lot of people. You'd be surprised if you ever read the comments of my videos when I make those hard predictions. I get a lot of flack for that. I get a lot of flack for it, right? So Asleep by Nine is a nurse. So you know, right? Come the full moon, everybody gets a lot more sensitive, a lot more heightened. Did you know that human beings actually bleed more at the time of the full moon as well? It goes a little bit haywire, right? Married to a police officer to boot, blimey. So you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. So anyway, all those years ago, I was like, oh my gosh. And then talking to him, he was like, yeah, he said, we pay attention to that because around this time of the month, people get a little bit more crazy. There's usually more fights. There's usually more, people's feelings are that much more to the surface. You add to this, the sun is currently in the sign of Scorpio, right? This is a pretty big deal because the sun is illuminating secrets. The sun is illuminating things that have been hidden. It's also illuminating the sign that rules death, the taboo. It also reveals to us, because the sun is an illuminating principle, the sun is really highlighting the darker aspects of human energy, of the human psyche, right? All of that kind of stuff. On top of that, we've got the moon at 23 degrees of Taurus in a conjunction to Uranus. So far we've got heightened emotions very much to the surface. We've got the darker energies of life being illuminated, and now we've got Uranus, the completely unpredictable energy of the zodiac. Yeah, this is a recipe for some ish, right? There's no getting around it. However, the way that we find empowerment through this is to know that there may be something that unfolds that we're not in control of. Whenever you're talking about the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, these represent energies or experiences that we are not in control of, right? These are energies that are way bigger than us, they're outside of us. And so, what this means is the way that we prepare for this is to say, okay, in my embodied experience, Taurus, there may be a very emotional moon experience that I am somewhat out of control with Uranus. And the way that we understand the way that we understand this is to say, okay, I'm going to have to expect the unexpected. But what I really will say to you is because this is in a trine to Pluto, this has the feeling to me of there's a deal breaker here, but a positive one. Why? Because it's a trine to Pluto. And so what this means is whatever comes to, when you think about a full moon, ending, completion, culmination, something that wraps up a cycle, whatever comes to a close or an end here, it comes to a close or an end for good in a way that is actually positive. And I say that, one, because this is a trine to Pluto, and two, because this is the last time that any of us will ever experience a moon, especially a full moon or a Uranus conjunction to the moon in a connection to Pluto in our lifetimes. That's it, right? As of the 20th of this month, Pluto will move into the sign of Aquarius. It's there for the next 20 years. It's not going to return to Capricorn for at least another 220, I think it's like another 235 plus years. So this is it, right? And so what I feel from this is whatever comes to a close or an end or whatever is revealed at this time, it actually allows and empowers us to move forward in a way where we can say that cycle of me and my life and my experience is done, and this new one now begins. Because Uranus rules the energy or the sign of Aquarius, where are you, Aquarius? Over here. Think about the Aquarian part of your chart. What house does that occupy for you? And then furthermore, what house does the moon, because the moon rules Cancer, where are you, Cancer? Stand up and take a bow, please. The moon rules Cancer, Uranus rules Aquarius. What houses do these occupy in your birth chart? This may give you a heads up as to what areas of life are really going to be affected here. And of course, you want to think about the Taurus energy of your chart as well. The Taurus house is going to be probably the most important because that's where it's happening. But the Uranus energy is, I say secondary, but really and truthfully, it's kind of the star of the show because that's where the power or the bang for your buck is coming from. And the moon, because obviously the moon rules Cancer. So Taurus, Aquarius, and Cancer, these are the houses of your chart that would really sort of speak up over the course of this full moon. Um, the other thing that Sam said was Taurus at 20. So, I mean, it's a 3-degree orb from the moon itself and a 5-degree orb from the Uranus energy, but it's that Chiron. Sam, honestly, I feel like this might be a moment where you really start to understand on a really embodied or practical level what just doesn't cut it anymore. What you really know, like at a deep soul sort of level, like, wow, I have to let this go. I have to phase this out, whatever it might be. It could be painful, it could be disruptive, but it could also be really liberating in the long run. Um, Sorry, I'm just reading some of the comments here. Yeah, I feel like it's something to be excited about. Maybe not like in the immediate. This is kind of like surprise. Um, Tracy, hey mama, lovely to have you. So yeah, Friday's full moon. What's really interesting to me, this full moon happens in the sign of Taurus. Taurus is obviously ruled by Venus. Venus's day is Friday, and this full moon is happening on a Friday. So the fact that Venus is in a fellow Earth sign, right? Because even though this is the full moon, even though Uranus is involved, and Aquarius and Cancer by rote because the fact that it's a full moon, the dispositor or the ruler of that moon is Venus. Venus in Capricorn. Do you remember what we said about her? She's got her ish together, right? This is a Venus that has her stuff together. She's got a clipboard, she's got her horn-rimmed glasses on, she's got a pencil skirt and a blouse with just the top button, so that you should just to make sure that everybody's paying attention, right? For whatever reason, they're paying attention. This is a Venus that has her stuff together. And this actually, to me, says that there is a stabilizing influence to this in some way, shape, or form, right? It might not be totally because it is conjunct Uranus, but all in all, I'm expecting this full moon to be highly illuminating. I think something comes to light at this point, absolutely. Um, because it's Taurus and it's the body, we might all feel like we've been plugged into the mains, right? Because Uranus is the electrical systems of the body. So when you think about your nervous system, this is a day to really make sure you're doing nice things for your nervous system, right? That you're really looking after your physical, tangible body, that you're paying attention to what your body wants, to what your body needs, okay? Like really, in the lunar lacuna, I did a meditation with and for everybody that was there to really get us plugged into our bodies so that we can experience what we can, in the best or the right way. Um, I mean, James, it's really funny. There's a great astrologer called Cam White, and I won't repeat what he said in his video, but I tell you, he had me howling with laughter. Because, guys, in terms of the masculine Venus in Capricorn, This is like, that guy that struts around the office and he knows he's got it, right? Everybody's looking, everybody's paying attention. He's got his slacks on, tight shirt, smells great, the kind of that everyone's like, right? Venus in Capricorn, whether masculine or feminine, this is someone that's got their stuff together and they are very well aware of how they affect people. Charismatic as AF, right? Like, oof. Okay. Saturday, getting a full body massage. Perfect, right? Absolutely perfect way to use this energy. Funnily enough, I actually have an acupuncture session on Friday to just kind of use that, right? Uh, James is hiding his clipboard, button my buttons and hide my glasses. That's so funny. All right, so as we come into Saturday, Luna then moves into Gemini. At this point, we can all sort of breathe a bit of a collective sigh of relief, especially because Moon Gemini is fun. Moon Gemini is a little bit more not subdued. Whenever the moon's in an air sign, it tends towards communication. We get some breathing space around our feelings and we're able to articulate things a bit better. Now, so I love this, right? That moon in Gemini, I think, is going to be a really nice moment on Saturday. As we come into Sunday, Moon applies to Jupiter. This is really lovely, right? I love Moon Jupiter because Moon and Jupiter, they really get on with each other. They love each other. And in an opposition to Mercury, again, even though the Moon rules Cancer energy, where are you, Cancer? Here. Even though the Moon rules Cancer energy, it is in Mercury's sign, and Mercury is in a mutual reception to Jupiter in Gemini. So I kind of love this because, again, it's like we can not only give voice to our feelings, but we're able to kind of find the lightness and the levity around all of it. It might even be that you look back at the full moon and you go, I got a little bit crazy there, didn't I? We might all be looking back at the 15th like, I'm really not sure what took place there. I mean, and if you're anything like me, total werewolf. And it took me a long time. And I'll be honest, it wasn't really until I started to seriously get into astrology that I understood what was going on. I just thought I was, crazy. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is the time of the full moon. I'm very sensitive to the moon because I have a moon in Cancer and it's applying to fullness. On top of that, what I've also noticed is that the phase of the moon will have a really powerful sway on your physiology, right? So for me personally, at the time of the new moon, I look washed out. Like I look so like the bags under my eyes, I've got no energy. I just feel like I'm, existing, right? And then at the time of the full moon, I'm like, I feel a lot more like myself. So those things, they really matter. All right, enough yapping. There you go. That's me tapping into the moon in Gemini there. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our path to our highest vibrational good. So, for our destiny card for the week ahead, it could be the moon and I could be crazy. You know what? Asleep by nine, it's definitely both, I can assure you. At least now I've got something to blame though, right? All right, so for our wow, oh gosh. There we go. So for our key to the week, we have, or the destiny card for the week, we've got the world card. So the greatest message from Luna this week is literally that this week, focus on your communities, right? Like really, this is a week for you to focus on the community that you have, the community that you've built. So that means that I'll be focusing on you guys. It also, because the world card is where we go onto or we step onto a new plateau. This is where we graduate. And what's the beauty of life? It's kind of like like a video game. Once you finish one level, you just go on to the next one. And so you've got to start all over again. Just when you think you've elevated and I'm finally there, and you're like, oh crap, now there's more to learn and further to go, right? Life is like that. This week, we have a chance to maybe connect to our communities and find a way to move forward. But it does really say that the message for this week is to get really serious about the connections that you have, and also to understand you are at that next level. It's here, right? We're going to pass through that full moon, and it's really going to highlight to you what is truly done now so that you are ready and able to move forward. All right. So, in terms of our direction cards, how do we best use that world card energy? Well, we have the hanged man. So, slow and steady is going to win the race, right? Don't rush it, don't force it. Just show up in the best way that you possibly can. We've got the star card. Wow. Okay. Right. So, what this also means is that we're getting a glimpse into where we move from here, right? Where we go from here. This is, remember, the star card is that glimpse into the future. It's also hope and optimism. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. Holy crap. Those are big cards, right? Look at this, three major arcanas. So the best way for us to tap into the energy of this week, the energy of the world card, is to know what you are in control of will be revealed to you. What you are not in control of, you are being asked to surrender so that the greatest future for you can come through, and then allow you to be in the right place at the right time in order to achieve and receive it, right? So big, big stuff this week. I wouldn't expect any less. One of the things that I talked about in the Lunar Lacuna was that even though this full moon isn't even though it's not an eclipse, it will definitely have that eclipse flavor or feel to it, right? Okay. So for our insight cards, I'm so bad at that particular S word. Surrender. Yeah, it's not an easy one, but you know what? Rather than seeing it as I'm not in control or I have to give up my control, see it more as I choose to surrender, right? It's not something that, and truth be told, it's not something that the world, the universe, or even life itself can wrest out of you. Surrender means that you choose to let go, that you choose to surrender. No one, even if someone's got a gun to your head, they can't force that out of you. It's always your decision. Surrender is your choice, not your burden. That's where your free will really comes into play. So if you can try to reframe it in that way, hopefully that will help. Wow, Lisa, that's incredible. So you're tapping into it. Yeah, these cards are beautiful. The Taurus Garden bought me these. I was complaining about the fact that there wasn't any melanated decks, and this beautiful human sent me three, not just one, but three. And they're three of the most beautiful decks I've ever had. I love them with all my heart, and that is actually my new favorite deck. So, my pleasure, James, and I'm really glad that it helps. So, in terms of our insight cards, if we could see around corners, someone please tell me when to say stop or when or whatever you want to say. I love you, my man, and I'm so grateful. I love them. I really, really love them. All right, stop or banner. All right, so first one, we've got the Six of Pentacles. In terms of our insight, the Six of Pentacles is basically saying Sometimes the way that we move forward is by accepting help to do so. We've got the Justice card, but we've got to commit to it. And the Four of Wands is celebration, right? So, what comes out of this week, if we could look around corners, is to say, by accepting help and committing to a path in relation to that help, you reach a point where you're able to truly enjoy life or to celebrate this new level that you find yourself on, right? This is where we're going and how we get there through surrender, but also there's support here. There's help here. I will say this, and I say this very tentatively. I do wonder with this Six of Pentacles and the Justice card if there is some at least whisper on the wider world stage, a tentative whisper of some kind of peace talk, peace treaty. Maybe it's very, very, very tenuous. Maybe it's very loose. But I do wonder if there's a conversation around this week. And on a personal level, the help that we need is not only available to us, but it provides us with the impetus that we need to create a different experience for ourselves. I love this. I think this week's Moonday cards are probably some of my favorite throughout this whole year. I think this week ahead is actually going to be a really nice one. What I love most about it is I think that there is support for everyone and for whatever is going on in the world. As I say, that's a very tentative prediction for what's happening on the world stage. I would love it to be the case. I just feel like it's a whisper, like maybe it's mentioned and a few more people are kind of like, okay, you know what? This may actually be something that is possible to happen. So, with that said, James says this will be a week for James to practice things that he is not great at, surrender and asking for help. I hear you, brother. I hear you, right? And it's really in practicing the things that we're not good at that we end up being really great at them. Um, so, with that said, have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for sticking around for your Moonday Magic. I appreciate you all so much. Have a fantastic time. Let me know in the comments if you're watching this after the fact how it shapes up for you. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Go out there and be who you're destined to be. Take care, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.